Welcome back, everyone. If you're a focused learner looking to completely supercharge how new information is introduced and actually retained, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're bringing you a brand new explainer focused on an incredibly dynamic pre-reading tool. It's called the Tea Party strategy. And let me tell you, it's an active learning technique that totally flips the traditional classroom script on its head. Instead of starting a lesson by just opening a textbook or sitting through a long lecture, this strategy gets learners up, moving around, and actively piecing together the puzzle of what they're about to learn. So, let's piece together how this whole thing works.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover what exactly a tea party is, then we'll walk through the 6 implementation steps. After that, we'll dive into a really fun biology food chain example, and finally, we'll wrap things up by troubleshooting a common challenge.
All right, Section 1. What is a tea party? The ultimate pre-reading tool.
So you might be wondering, what actually is it? Well, the Tea Party isn't just a random game. It's specifically designed as a pre-reading or pre-discussion tool. It's meant to be used right before a new topic is officially introduced. Think of it as the ultimate hook to prime the learner's brain. Basically, students mingle, share clues, and try to guess the lesson's theme. By giving students just little fragments of the upcoming lesson, short hints or character roles, they actually have to walk around, talk to each other, and collectively figure out the bigger picture. It literally wakes up their brains from minute 1. It creates this amazing constructivist learning environment where they're building foundational knowledge before you even formally teach a single thing.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 6 implementation steps, or how to actually build the party.
So how do you actually set this up in a room full of learners? It all comes down to 6 key steps. First up, choose your topic. Second, create the cards. You're going to give every single student a short phrase, a vocabulary word, or a specific character role. Third, you need to explain those roles so students can internalize them. Give them a second to think, wait, who am I and how do I fit into this? Fourth, and this is where it gets really fun, the actual party begins. They meet and mingle for about 3 to 5 minutes, sharing their clues. Fifth, they switch partners to keep the conversation going with new people. And finally, step 6 is the class summary, where everyone comes back together to share what they've pieced together. This step-by-step structure is absolutely crucial because it takes the chaos out of active learning and replaces it with focused, guided discovery.
All right, let's get right into Section 3. Here is a fantastic biology example, a middle school survival game focusing on the food chain.
Setting the stage here, the teacher's goal is highly specific. They want students to understand the interdependence of living organisms before the detailed lesson even begins. So the chosen topic is the role of living things in the ecosystem. But rather than just standing there lecturing about who eats what, the teacher is going to make them physically experience it. Let's take a look at the cards.
Okay, imagine you're a student, right? And you are handed a card that reads, I am grass. I make my own food using sunlight. You have to really embody this. You are confident, self-sustaining grass. You literally don't need to eat anyone else in this room to survive.
But meanwhile, across the room, another student gets a card that says, I am a grasshopper. I love to eat green plants. Now this student is looking around thinking, okay, who in this room is a plant? And more importantly, what's going to eat me? You can already see how this dynamic instantly sets the stage for massive engagement. And here's where the magic happens. When the student playing grass walks up to the grasshopper, the interaction is just gold. Grass introduces itself, proudly declaring that it makes its own food. And the grasshopper realizes, wait a minute, I'm hungry for plants. You are my food. It's this hilarious, slightly awkward realization of who eats whom, and it perfectly simulates the ecosystem in real time. But hey, the party doesn't stop there. Keeping the momentum going, a third student is hopping around reading, I am a frog. I love jumping to catch insects. Oh boy. Now, that grasshopper who was feeling pretty confident just a second ago, they suddenly realize they are definitely on someone else's menu. Then, adding a slightly ominous tone to the whole mix, we introduce the snake. I ambush frogs or mice. By embodying these roles, the students aren't just memorizing dry terms on a page. They are actively seeking out their prey and trying to hide from their predators right there in the classroom space. It so brilliantly links physical movement to the cognitive learning outcome.
And finally, we have the very patient fungus, our decomposer. Their card reads, I wait to eat dead animals or plants. This brings an inevitable and, maybe slightly creepy end to our food chain party, but it completes the whole ecosystem cycle perfectly. Every single student has a role, and every role is deeply connected.
Now, during this mingling phase, the rule is simple. You can't just talk to one person. Students must walk around and meet 2 to 3 new characters. Their mission? To figure out exactly who their food is and who is actively trying to make a meal out of them.
Once the mingling wraps up, the teacher brings everyone back to their seats and asks these really fantastic framing questions. Things like, who found their food? And who felt scared because someone wanted to eat them? As the students shout out their answers, the teacher is up at the board, drawing the connections and visually mapping out the complete food chain. The beauty of this is that by the time the actual textbook lesson begins, the students already deeply understand the core concept, because, well, they literally just lived it.
Moving on to Section 4, Troubleshooting Challenges and Keeping the Party Moving.
Let's be real, no strategy is perfectly seamless the very first time you run it. One very real practical hurdle is that during the mingling phase, students will almost always default to picking their close friends as partners. If they do that, they might completely miss finding their predator or prey, and they lose out on learning from the wider group. So what's the solution? Music. You just play a song, and when it stops, they absolutely must partner with whoever is closest to them at that exact moment. It's essentially a giant game of musical chairs, just without the chairs. It completely solves the whole click problem while keeping the room's energy super high.
And that brings us to the end of today's explainer on the Tea Party strategy. We've seen firsthand how getting learners up on their feet, armed with just a tiny piece of the puzzle, can create massive engagement. It instantly clarifies complex relationships, just like we saw with the biological food chain. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. How can you adapt the Tea Party strategy to spark curiosity in your next complex lesson? Whether you are teaching history, literature, or business, how can you break your topic down into little clues, hand them out, and let your learners piece the story together for themselves? Think about it. Thanks for joining me, and keep learning.